Today's topic is pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, right? So from many days we are seeing this Hong Kong protests. We see today's newspaper, British Prime Minister has given a statement that he will be offering visas for the Hong Kong citizens to UK. And also he said there is possibility of granting UK citizenship to these Hong Kong citizens. And on the other hand, if we see, Nepal country says that Hong Kong belongs to China. And it says we have to follow non-interference in the internal affairs of other country. So in this context, in the context of the statements made by Nepal and UK on China, we need to analyze this Hong Kong protests with respect to prelims and mains perspective, right? So what are these protests? What protests happened in the year 2019? What are the protests happening now? And how does it affect the world? And what should be the way forward? And what is India's stand on this Hong Kong issue? We need to know all this. So starting with, as Hong Kong is in news, we need to know the geography of Hong Kong, a rough idea of geography of Hong Kong, right? So some features about geography of Hong Kong is it is situated in the southeast coast of China, right? So this is situated in southeast coast of China. And also this Hong Kong is in Pearl River Delta. This is situated in Pearl River Delta, and it borders South China Sea. Borders South China Sea. So roughly these geographical things we have to know about Hong Kong. It is located in southeast coast of China in the Pearl River Delta and borders South China Sea, right? So this is the geography of Hong Kong. Now, if we go to the history of this Hong Kong issue, we need to go back to 1842. We need to go back to the year 1842. What happened in 1842? In the year 1842, a war actually took place between China and Britain. China and Britain had a war. The name is First Opium War. So there was a war called First Opium War that happened in 1842 between China and British. So at that time, China was under the control of China Qing dynasty, Qing, Q-I-N-G, Qing dynasty, right? So this Qing dynasty was ruling China. Unfortunately, in this war, China loses and British will win this war, right? So as a part of the agreement, as China has lost the war, it has given Hong Kong to Britain. So in this way, after a war, Hong Kong came to the control of British, and it remained in the control of British till the year 1997. From 1842 till 1997, this Hong Kong was under the control of British, right? Then what happened in 1947? In 1947, Britain had decided to return this Hong Kong territory to China. However, ideologically and politically, Britain and China are two contrasting things. Britain follows capitalism. Britain follows liberal policies. On the other hand, China is a communist-based country. So Hong Kong, as it was under the control of British for many years, even Hong Kong is also accustomed to this liberal policies. Hong Kong also follows these liberal policies. Now, as Hong Kong is being transferred from Britain to China, we can't simply transfer it because these two are two politically different countries. That's why an agreement was made between Britain and China. That agreement is Sino-British Joint Declaration. Sino-British Joint Declaration. This was the declaration that was made between British and China. Now, as a part of this declaration, Britain has given this Hong Kong territory to China under some conditions, right? Now, what are those conditions? One of the condition is China has to promise that it will uphold some freedoms of the Hong Kong. Now, as it is getting transferred to a communist government, still China has to promise that it will guarantee some freedoms to Hong Kong, right? So this comes under the basic law. In this way, a constitution for Hong Kong, a mini constitution for Hong Kong called Basic Law was introduced as a part of this agreement. This Basic Law is basically the governing thing as to how the relations between Hong Kong and China has to be. Just like our country has a constitution, this Hong Kong has this basic law. This basic law decides how the relation should be between Hong Kong and China. Now, as a part of this basic law, China has promised some freedoms for the Hong Kong. What are those? If we see, this basic law promises one country, two systems approach. One country, two systems approach. What is this one country, two systems approach? This says China is one country. Hong Kong is being given to China. So Hong Kong also is a part of China. So overall it is one country. But administratively, economically, and politically, Hong Kong will be different from China. This is one country, two systems. Country wise, Hong Kong and China are one country, but administrative wise, political wise, and economical system wise, Hong Kong is different from China. This is one country, two systems, right? So this can straight away a prelim bit. One country, two systems, recently seen in news related to, and 4 options can be given. So we need to know it broadly. And the second promise which this basic law does is, it makes Hong Kong a special administrative region. A special administrative region. Now, what is special administrative region? Now, Hong Kong is made a part of China. However, some autonomy is given to Hong Kong in some dimensions. That means it is not completely under the control of China. Some freedoms and some autonomy is given to Hong Kong. That is why it is a special administrative region of China, right? So this is the second thing. Now, still if we go into some features, like if we want to get the feel of how Hong Kong is different from China, if we see in terms of political rights, Hong Kong people have free speech, they have rule of law, they have liberal policies, they have an independent judiciary, they have capitalism, right? And economical, if we see, they have market based approach. On the other hand, if we see China, that is a communist based government, an authoritarian based government. Individual rights are not given much importance. Rights related to freedom are not given much emphasis, right? So Hong Kong being ideologically different from China, all these promises were given to Hong Kong in terms of this basic law. So this basic law is the life for Hong Kong people, right? Unfortunately, what happened? After British transferred this Hong Kong to China, China started interfering in this basic law. China started interfering in the political and economical systems of Hong Kong. Now, this made Hong Kong people unhappy because they were guaranteed some autonomy. They were guaranteed some freedoms before they were made a part of China, right? However, China started interfering in the political affairs. Because of this interference in the political affairs of Hong Kong, the Hong Kong protests have started. The Hong Kong protests have started. So this is the broad story, right? So as China is interfering more in the autonomy of the Hong Kong, these Hong Kong protests have come, right? So as a part of this Hong Kong protests, 3 significant events we have to know. 3 significant events happened as a part of this protest, right? Apart from the protests which are going on now, even before, Umbrella Revolution took place in Hong Kong. Umbrella Revolution. Even this is a part of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. Hong Kong people basically want their freedoms back. They want democracy in their country, not communism, right? So that's why they have started an Umbrella Revolution previously. Now, what is this Umbrella Revolution? This is the first event we have to know. This Umbrella Revolution is, the name has come to that because people have basically used umbrellas to stop themselves from the pepper spray which the police were spraying. So that's why this name Umbrella Revolution has come. Now, why is this Umbrella Revolution important? Because Hong Kong people were fighting for their democratic rights. What actually happened? Even till now, if we see, in Hong Kong, there is a chief executive. How we have president and prime minister for countries, for Hong Kong, we have a chief executive, right? So this particular person, chief executive, is the head for the Hong Kong politically. However, this political head, the chief executive, is not directly elected by the Hong Kong people even till date. Now, who decides this head? It is an election committee that is appointed by China decides the political head of Hong Kong. So ideally speaking, universal adult suffrage, that means voting rights for everyone, is not there in Hong Kong even till now. Because of this, the political head of the Hong Kong is still elected by the China. Now, what is the concern here? The issue here is, if China is electing the political head, the topmost post in Hong Kong, obviously the particular person in that post would be more loyal to the China and its policies rather than to the people of the Hong Kong. Right? So this is the concern that led to the protests. So people started asking for their voting rights. They started demanding universal adult suffrage. That means all the adults should directly decide their chief executive. This led to the pro-democracy protests, and umbrella revolution was a part of it. Right? So this is umbrella revolution, fight for pro-democracy and for universal adult suffrage. Now, after this, in that large scale, again protests happened in the year 2019. In the year 2019. Now, what happened in this 2019? In this 2019, China introduced a bill in Hong Kong. China introduced a bill in Hong Kong, and that name of the bill is extradition bill. So China basically introduced a legislation in Hong Kong. What is that extradition bill? That extradition bill or the law says that all the criminal suspects in Hong Kong, that means all those people who are suspected that they might have done a criminal activity, they are not gone under trial in Hong Kong courts. They are taken to the China and are done trial in the Chinese courts. So Hong Kong also has a criminal justice system. However, this extradition law states that all those criminal suspects in the Hong Kong country will be taken to the China's criminal justice system rather than Hong Kong's criminal justice system. Right? So this is basically the extradition law which the China had tried to introduce in Hong Kong. However, what is the issue here? Now, if we see, Hong Kong people raised issues or concerns about this. Why? They say that this extradition bill can be misused by China. Now we have pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong fighting for their democratic rights. We have journalists in Hong Kong trying to bring out the inefficiencies in Chinese policies. Now all these journalists, activists, all these people can be taken to China, right? They can be threatened. Now this is the concern that the Hong Kong people bring out, right? So this led to huge protests. Hong Kong people clearly rejected this extradition bill. They said that their freedom of speech and expression and also their press freedom is at a grave threat if such an extradition bill is brought. Right? So now this has led to huge protests, and it went up to that extent that China withdrew this extradition bill. Right? So China, it took back its extradition bill and it said that that bill is not being imposed in Hong Kong. However, people still continued their protests for pro-democracy. Their long pending demands still continued. They still fighted for the universal adult suffrage. They still fighted for pro-democracy. They don't want Chinese interference in their political affairs. Right? So this is in nutshell about the 2019 protests. So after umbrella revolution, after this 2019 protests, now again in a large scale, the protests have started. Now, why did the protests again pick up? The main reason is China again is trying to bring a new legislation into Hong Kong. And the name of that legislation is National Security Law. So China is trying to bring a national security law again. Now, what is this national security law? Before we discuss that, we have to know, or we have to remember that basic law is basically the mini constitution for Hong Kong that decides the relations between Hong Kong and China. So This basic law says that, or it gives, this basic law gives powers to the China country to impose some legislations in Hong Kong. Using this basic law provisions, China can introduce some legislations in Hong Kong. However, not in all the matters. Only with respect to some subjects, China can introduce legislations in Hong Kong. Those are defense related, foreign affairs related, and other matters which are beyond the control of Hong Kong. So all these three things, in these three aspects, in related to defense matter, related to external affairs matter, and also related to matters that are beyond Hong Kong's control, in all these three related subjects, China can make legislations in Hong Kong even without any consultation with the Hong Kong Legislative Assembly. Now, this is an important point. With respect to these three subjects, China can make legislations without even consulting the Hong Kong Legislative Assembly, right? So using this power, China has brought this national security law now. Now the Hong Kong people were not happy because first their legislative assembly's consent or consult is not taken. And also if we see this national security law, this national security law bans sedition. What is sedition? Sedition means speaking or doing acts which amount to disaffection towards a country. That means you are speaking against the constitutional symbols of your country, right? The bodies of your country. This amounts to sedition briefly. So this national security law tries to ban sedition. Now, what are the concerns with this? On one hand, it is good that China can tackle terrorism, extremism, and sedition in a better way by this bill. But on the other hand, if we try to see this in Hong Kong people's perspective, China can misuse this national security law to control the freedoms of the people. Now, the journalists, the activists who are fighting for pro-democracy, these people can be, for unnecessary reasons, be booked under this national security law, right? They can be threatened. So again, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of press is at a grave threat if such a national security law is brought by China into the Hong Kong. This is the concern which led to huge protests now. And as a part of this protest, even UK has said that it will be giving or offering citizenship to Hong Kong people if China passes that national security law in Hong Kong, right? So this is the reason why UK is playing some role in this Hong Kong protest, because history is related to British and China, this Hong Kong place. So this is overall three important events which we have to know. So this is the basic idea about the present protests. Why are they going on, right? This is a national security law which actually bans sedition. However, this has huge repercussions on the freedoms and the civil liberties of the Hong Kong people also. That's why people are protesting again. Now, what are the implications of such Hong Kong protests globally? Does it have any effects globally? This we have to know with respect to Main's perspective. The first thing is, Hong Kong is a global financial hub. It is a global financial hub. So many business activities take place in Hong Kong. Now, if such protests occur in Hong Kong, which is a global financial hub, definitely it has an impact on the businesses worldwide. This is the first impact which we have to know. Impact on the global businesses. The second thing is, there again can be a huge or significant migrant crisis in Hong Kong. Like if you see the words of UK Prime Minister, he is saying that he is ready to offer visa and also citizenship for the Hong Kong people. Now this says there can be again migrant issues or migration from the Hong Kong to different countries. This is also an impact on the impact globally, right? The second thing is migration. The third thing is US-China dispute. This Hong Kong is becoming a hot debate between US and China. Because of this, US-China relations will even get worse. Now, if US-China relations get worse, we have seen from the past year, global uncertainties will increase and global economy will have a hit. There will be an impact on global economy, right? So US-China relations getting worsened is also an impact. So these are some impacts globally, the financial impacts, migrant issue, and also this US China issue. These are some of the issues. Now we have to also know the stand of India with respect to this Hong Kong issue. India strongly believes that it should not interfere in the internal affairs of another country. Hong Kong is an internal dispute between China and Hong Kong. India sees it this way. It says that it should not interfere in the internal affairs of another country, right? This is a part of Panchsheel agreement also between India and China, that it should not interfere in other countries' internal affairs. This is the stand of India with respect to Hong Kong issue, right? So conclusion should be that the one country, two systems, which we spoke about, the basic law which we spoke about, that has to be followed by China in true letter and spirit. Only then there can be harmonious relation between China and Hong Kong. Only when one country, two systems is recognized by China and is followed by China in true letter and spirit, only then we can have harmony between China and Hong Kong.